Snipers, you have to see what's happening to the Bitcoin price this Sunday as we have wrapped up the second week of the new year. 2023 has been an amazing start to the year for the cryptocurrency market and the equity markets. Just notice here on the charts how Bitcoin's weekly candle for the second week of 2023 closed up over 21%, pushing Bitcoin above the 20-week moving average and above all of the significant daily moving averages, being the 200-day, the 100-day, and the 50-day moving average. And so what's next for Bitcoin? A lot of people are sending me messages. Is it time to short Bitcoin? Do we have more upside left for Bitcoin? Let's dive into the micro time frame, snipers, because it is Sunday. We have a new weekly candle. Futures markets are about to open, and talk about what we could expect in the immediate short term. Let's dive straight into this 1 hour chart because I want you to notice something here, snipers. If we look at the volume, notice how we have yet to see any sell pressure come in with this move to the upside. And that is exactly why you can see Bitcoin is maintaining itself here above the $20,000 level right now, forming this bullish flag. Now, garden variety market behavior would say until we see sell pressure, then Bitcoin is going to continue in the direction that is currently in. And what that would assume, based on what's happening on the chart right now, is that all we're seeing right now is a weekend bull flag before we see a continuation move to the same direction. And in this case, it would be to the upside. And that's exactly why we've been expecting this $25,000 level here with this move that we saw above 17,200, exactly as we predicted here on the Snipers channel, the best technical analysis on the internet. And that's exactly what's happening right now. Bitcoin is forming this bullish flag, having a cup of coffee right now before we're going to start to see futures markets and equity markets open up. Who knows? We could see this push to 24,300. This is still our main target for Bitcoin. And until we can see Bitcoin test this $19,800 level as a support, we cannot look at any downside targets. This is an extremely important level that isn't just the 2018 previous all-time high, but it shows confluence with some very significant levels like the 200-day moving average, as well as the realized price for Bitcoin. And so being above 19,800, I think we can still expect upside. I would not be shorting inside of this range. The only time I would short is when Bitcoin tests a major resistance for the first time. And in this case, that would be 25,000 US dollars, not where we're currently at. I think we saw over $700 million of short liquidations with this move to the upside for Bitcoin. These are the type of things that you'll see in a short squeeze. Is the short squeeze done based on the institutional volume? No, it's not. And so one thing we'll monitor this week, snipers, is the 6 hour chart as well as the micro timeframes, and see when are we going to start to see any sell pressure come in, because that's when we can start looking at some potential slowdowns in momentum for this upside move. But until then, in the micro timeframes, things are looking good. Coming into this next week, the third week of 2023, we have to observe the equity markets. Remember, the S&P 500 at a very critical resistance level with the DXY breaking major support levels. It's going to be a very interesting week, especially with the VIX. So when combining price action and volume, what I'm expecting for Bitcoin here above 20,000 is that we could at least test 19,800, this previous resistance, as a support before we see any significant amounts of sell pressure. The reason I'd like to see that is what I'd like to happen here for the bullish case is that we come back down to 19,800. There's no sell pressure yet, and we actually see more buy pressure come in here at 19,800, driving Bitcoin's price towards that $25,000 level. Of course, that could be asking for too much, not based on what the equity markets did over the last 2 weeks, what the DXY has done over the last 2 weeks. But if we see a slowdown in the equity markets and the DXY begins to reverse and show some strength, then of course, what we'd like to monitor is if we come below 19,800, can we at least hold this market structural resistance at 18,400 as a support for the first time? That would be my make it or break it. Anything below 18,400, I would be very cautious because that would open up downside targets. But remember, we can't talk about those downside targets right now. What I'd like to see is a test of this previous resistance at 19,800 as a support level before we see sell pressure. I don't want to see sell pressure and then we test that level, because that opens up the likelihood for Bitcoin to come to the second level of support at 18,400. But I'm expecting 24,300. For any short positions, I would even entertain it until we get to 25,000. And at that point, testing that 200-week moving average, that 50-week moving average, this is the real area of resistance for Bitcoin here, above 25,000, not at 21,000 or 22,000 or even 23,000. It's only until we get to that $25,000 level that we'll start to face resistance. And then if we look at some 4-dimensional revolving parts, just to quickly recap what we're going to cover this week, the DXY, is it going to be moving back towards this 200-day moving average to at least come test that as a resistance? If this move starts to progress, that could slow down this upside move for the equity markets and the cryptocurrency market. So monitoring the DXY at an important support, as well as the S&P 500 at an important resistance level. Are we going to reject this 200-day moving average? We'll have to monitor that and let that unfold this week. I heard the total market cap slightly peaked itself above $1 trillion again, exactly as we've been predicting. The real major level here for the total market cap is actually 1.132 trillion. If we can get above that, it's pretty much when Bitcoin can move above 25,000 that we'd see that. That's when we can have a very strong confirmation of another massive door to the upside that would open up to 1.78 trillion, but only if we get above $1.13 trillion. So something to monitor there for the total market cap. And this is some food for thought, by the way. I'm sure a lot of the bears are looking at this. Notice how the total market cap and Bitcoin have yet to actually break its local highs. We have still only formed a lower high. This was the FTX crash here. Bitcoin was slightly moving up. The total market cap was slightly moving up. And then we saw FTX become insolvent. That moved the market down. But that local high, we have yet to breach above that. So far, we only have a lower high. I just want to mention that to the exact dollar we're talking about. 21,480 is the local high. We've only got up to 21,258 so far. So that is certainly not a bullish puzzle piece, but with so much strength outside of the cryptocurrency market, I don't think that there is any sort of concern just yet. I think that we still have some room to go for that $25,000 level before we can really start to face some resistance here. So that's something we'll monitor. And then I'll wrap up with this, snipers. Something that has been very interesting about this bear market so far is that Bitcoin dominance has not been moving up with the DXY like we saw in 2018. What you'll typically see with Bitcoin dominance moving up in a bear market is you'll see the large spikes of Bitcoin dominance moving up when altcoins are selling off along with Bitcoin after these type of relief rallies. So something that we have to watch out for is if Bitcoin, let's say, hits 25,000 and then pushes back down below 20,000 on that downside move, how bad are altcoins going to get hit there? What is Bitcoin dominance going to do if that were to happen? Preferably, if we want this bear market to end, we want to see Bitcoin dominance actually move up, because typically the last cycle and the last phase of the bear market is when altcoins are making their final move into Bitcoin to hedge against further downside. Bitcoin being the storage of value, right? The digital version of gold, that's what it's for. And by the way, snipers, remember, if you like this content, subscribe to our channel and comment below. I appreciate each and every one of you tuned in. Thank you for coming on for this Sunday update, snipers. Let's dive into the charts and wrap up here. Ethereum to Bitcoin, it has been giving some hints that Bitcoin dominance wants to move up, because throughout this upside move, notice how the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart actually closed its weekly candle in red. So as much as the overall market moved up, Ethereum moving into Bitcoin means that there is certainly not just new capital coming into this market right now, but what's also driving this move for Bitcoin is a flight to safety from, let's say, Ethereum into Bitcoin. Because we had a red weekly candle close, it's quite clear that happened, especially because the days Bitcoin started to really move up, Ethereum to Bitcoin started to really sell off. And so that also strengthens that opinion that Bitcoin dominance wants to move up. And you can see we've been breaking local highs here for Bitcoin dominance. It's been showing momentum. It's above all of its daily moving averages that are significant, as well as its 20-week and 50-week moving average. And so we can't say this is not bullish right now. Bitcoin dominance does look like it wants to move up. And I think that we really want it to move up and get towards this 200-week moving average around 55% dominance, because that could help reverse this market back into the next bull market. With Bitcoin dominance moving up, that could be that final wave, that final push, but it has been acting quite odd. And then remember what we talked about yesterday with the VIX at this major support level. I think over the next few weeks, we do have to be cautious for some downside. It doesn't have to happen this week, because the VIX has come below 20 several times for several weeks before seeing that reversal, but we are at a very important support level here that dates back 5 years for the VIX, indicating that at some point we could be seeing this move up, and that typically isn't good for the equity markets or Bitcoin. And then Bitcoin altcoins outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum and their dominance, you can see this custom chart that I have here, also looks quite bearish. So that validates that Bitcoin dominance thesis that we've had. But with that being said, futures markets are quite quiet and calm right now. You can see here, we also have Japan open right now, down almost 1% to start off the day. I don't think those are any decisive hints just yet of what the American equity markets are going to do. So we'll have to wait until next week unfolds. Remember, Bitcoin against SPY as well has been moving up. It has been showing strength. That's actually a very positive sign here. You can see we're also above all of its significant daily moving averages. But one thing to note here is, just like Bitcoin's US dollar pairing, we have not broke the local highs yet. We've only formed a lower high. And so if we want to start getting bullish, we want to start seeing these higher highs, not these lower highs. And so something that we'll also watch out for here into this next week, could we see a higher high form and these local highs get broke from that FTX push down? That's something that we really want to see for the bullish case coming into this week. So with that, thank you all for tuning into the Snipers channel this Sunday. I appreciate each and every one of you tuned in the channel. And with that being said, we have wrapped up this video for today. Until next time, have a great week, Snipers, and I'll see you guys. Snipers.